Hey guys, this is Kirop speaking, and today I have a bit of a special video for you, as this is the final round of judging for our cover art competition, car design competition for the Al-Rilma update. The winner of this one will be the main feature car, the face of the update. And I'm looking forward to seeing who it is. There are 16 beautiful finalists we are going to take a closer look at today, with a fair few judges and the community backing us up with a community vote as well. You have voted through these 16 finalists already in a much, much larger field, and now it is time to take a look, go through them all and decide the winner. Enjoy!
is our first finalist. This is from On Doom, who has finally changed his name to be the very first entry in the challenge. So first off, I'm going to say that unfortunately this entry, according to On Doom, was a little bit unfinished, but in spite of that, it still looks quite good for sort of your classic 1960s, 1970s muscle car.
I really, really love cars like these. This is really well done as well. Look at the suspension bars like under the engine and stuff like that. Look at that. It's super impressive. Everything like I really love details on cars like these, like stuff that you can't really see all that well. Stuff like the radiator sticking out a little below the front, and details like that. It gives it a lot of like extra character in a way. And this one does that really well.
I would say the front fascia looks very three-dimensional in a good way. It has a lot of depth to it.
Yep.
And it just looks very, very classy. It's not overdone. It just hits the sweet spot there. And overall, very interesting shapes for the whole of the car as well. It's a little brutish, but in an elegant package.
Well, that's exactly what you expect from a muscle car, basically. It's got to be a little bit brutish in the end. I mean, you're trying to exude, that this is a very fast and very powerful car, at least for the era, so you got to look mean.
Yeah, now that you're here in the chat on Doom, man, this is really terrible, am I right, guys?
Yeah, horrible. But I do want to do one criticize here. Doesn't look supercharged, does it?
We will have to ask Doom. Is it supercharged?
This is
cars,
like a yes or no. If you say
is-
no, then it's a 0. Sorry.
Apparently, yes, it is supercharged. Cars from this era rarely were, at least from the factory. I don't recall any let's be real. It looks quite a bit like a Dodge Challenger. I don't think Dodge supercharged any Challengers themselves.
No. Having said that, my understanding is there were supercharged options available as like a dealer option, for some of them. And it was very, very rare. Not many people actually took it up, but it was done.
But you know what they would do if they did? They would probably write on big fat letters on it that it's supercharged. Or give it that nice livery package or something.
Oh yeah,
Which brings me to the design of the sides. I really like the molding that goes all the way across. Nicely ties things together, but overall, compared to the front, there is not much going on there. I do like the shapes, as I said, but compared to the front, there's certainly a contrast going on in terms of detailing. And the rear is looking good again. So,
I think
slightly inconsistent.
The only criticism I can really level against the rear is it would have been nice if this rear panel was blacked out behind where the lights is. That's sort of a thing that they used to do at the time, and it'd just kind of give it a little bit more contrast, I think. Other than that, the rear is quite nice. The side is, I think the thing that throws me off on the side is the door handle, to be honest.
Is it massive,
I would have
or
liked
is it
to
just me?
It's on the big side, but I would have lowered it a little so that it aligns with the molding on the side.
With the molding. Yep.
Yeah. I think for this one, I'm going to give it a 7.5 overall. By the way, for everybody who's watching the stream, the judges were giving scores out of 10 on this in basically half-point increments. So,
Because we are better.
yes.
Yep. Our scores matter more than yours.
Actually, that's not really true.
Yeah, no, it's not true.
Yeah.
We are a
For me,
community.
it's an 8. I'm really impressed by the fronts and the rears, like three-dimensionality. This is something that is... I never see myself when I design anything, because I don't, but this looks like new automation to me. It's like, wow, well, that is pretty awesome. So yeah, well done.
I went with 7.5 as well. I love this, but it doesn't quite looks like a screamy supercharged underneath that.
I think I'm gonna go with a 9. mostly because muscle cars from this era are some of my favorite cars in general, and this one ticks pretty much every box. It's got good depth, it's got a good design, it does that Coke bottle shape really well. There are a couple things I'd probably change the wheels. The exhaust pipes are pretty big, you know, the black panel should be on the back. But overall, I mean, I really like it. It's really cool.
Yeah, generally it's a pretty good design. I quite like it too. Just a few things here and there that I probably would have done a little differently. But yeah, a solid muscle car and a good way to start our design challenge off. Next up is from Blocko and his drag pickup truck.
Now that's something I daily.
Yeah.
Down and back.
To the supermarket, yes.
It's very helpful. You only need to put the clutch and it will move by itself.
It's just speaking of like just a tangent on this really big engine. When I was younger, our family had a 95 Chevy Suburban with the 7.4, and I live in Northern Europe where you don't see these. And I remember we went to like a McDonald's drive-through. This must have been 2007 or 8. And the car was idling there, and we were ordering. And the lady in the door said, "Sir," to my dad, "You please, I need you to turn off the car. I cannot hear you."
Okay.
Huge V8, way too loud.
But for the design, I mean, this one is obviously supercharged. My only question would be, how large is it? This is
Yeah, Blocko, you were in the chat. How big is this?
big.
Yeah, this is a well, I think this kind of feels a bit like a compact pickup truck or ute, with basically just, well, it's basically, well, let's be honest, it's an engine with a truck attached to it.
From the front, I don't think it looks supercharged. It looks mean, but not supercharged. Apart from the top intake, of course. Velocity stacks there, and quite obviously indicating what it is. But that is more like I'm a dragster, not I'm supercharged. And also, it definitely doesn't look like you're allowed to drive it on the road.
No.
I would be surprised if you were, but knowing American rules and regulations.
Yeah, they're pretty lax with that kind of stuff a lot of times. For all we know, it could actually be road legal. I would like to point out, and this has been driving me nuts ever since I've seen this, is poor Blocko misspelled Al-Rilma on all of his decals.
Oh
Is it
no.
Rima?
Negative 10 points right there.
Well,
What a shame.
please join us in the shed in the back of the house. We're gonna shoot you now.
Yep. Sorry, Blocko. Sorry I had to come to this.
So, what do you think about the quite pointy nose of the thing? I think it works well with the tiny lights on it, but that on it by itself is also something that instantly sticks out to me as, oof, it's a cool design, it's well done, but also it is maybe a little bit on the too special side and like race car-ish, because they don't need properly sized headlights.
Yeah, it's
they've
pretty
definitely
obvious that
been
it's
swapped
Yeah, I
with
get it.
something.
it's pretty obvious that it is a race car, yeah. Although it is kind of in keeping with what you expect from a build like this, you know, because it's either street legal, air quotes, or just flat out not street legal. So you can they basically do whatever they want in that regard.
All right, let's talk about some more design there. Do you have another shot of the side rear?
We've only got
See
the
how it all
4
flows together?
shots of it here. Let me just flip those. I think the closest one we get of the rear is this one here from the first shot.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Parachute. Nice.
Oh, it's got the
I mean,
the
of course.
chute and the wheelie bar and the little wing on it as well. So it's an out and out
That's
drag
some nice
racer.
detailing.
It is
I
excellent
mean,
detail.
the engine bay, or the tray, is really well done. I love the detailing in it. Like, overall, this build is very nicely detailed. Not overdone either,
Yeah.
but like everything is there. Didn't throw shit on there that doesn't need to be there. Look at this massive supercharger belt too. That's the appropriate size for one for this kind of power that you would expect. And The piping is really well done. The texturing on those is nicely chosen, like the material choices. And overall, the look just fits this car. For a cover car, I do have a large concern here. And that is, this is super cool, this build. But how do you actually take a photo of it that makes sense as a car? I can't see a perspective.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's what I've been struggling with too. Like, if I was gonna split my scores up, 5 points for just the appearance of the car and 5 points for is it actually going to be a good cover car, I'd say this is like a 5 out of 5 for appearance, unquestionably. I mean, it's awesome. But as a cover car, maybe a 3. So I think at most I can give this an 8, but I think I'll probably give it another 7.5 as the previous build got.
Yeah.
Just because it's an awesome build, but it's going to be really hard to make a cover car out of.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think I'm gonna join you on that 7.5 because again, like it is really, really cool, and I like looking at it, but trying to imagine it on like the game's Steam page, I don't really know how you'd put it. Like, what do you even take a photo of? Do you take one of the rear because that has the engine, or do you take one of the front but then you don't see the engine?
Yeah, you would need to do it from the rear quarter.
Yeah, it'd just be a bit awkward. It's really cool, but yeah, I pretty much have the same sentiment, to be honest.
If we ever make a drag racing update, then this one would be pretty high up there, and I would certainly see this one. If you just imagine a shot from quite far above the cars, sitting at the start line to 1v1, and you see into this engine bay, that is perfect. Like on one side where this car is, that would be like, oh, brilliant, right?
Yeah.
Instantly one of the two cars in the supposed image then. But as a cover car, as a singular cover car, for me it's a 6.5 because of that. Like the build itself is definitely up there. Engine bay 10 out of 10. Car maybe 7 out of 10. But as a cover car, 6.5.
It's like the last car, but with the opposite. Like the last car was like, oh, this is a great build, but this doesn't really look supercharged. And it's like, oh, this is a great build, and it's very much supercharged, but it also might not be a good, like we said, cover car basically. So yeah, I'm going with 7.5 again.
Yeah, 7.5 as well. It's great. I like it. And if we were judging for just the car and nothing else, it'd be higher. But since we have to consider it as like a background image car as well, pretty much the same things that you all have said.
This one is from CH Flash, and it is his supercharged pony car.
I probably say this every single, not to like immediately shit on the car, because it's really great. But I say this just about every challenge. Remember to paint your brakes.
Yes.
Oh, the red sticking out there, yeah.
Red brakes were not really a thing in the 60s and 70s. That was like a more like 80s, late 80s, 90s and newer thing. It can look cool and like for a resto mod thing it can work, but otherwise if you're making an old car and it is old, just make them gray.
Yeah, exactly. That's sort of when monoblock calipers came in, which was late 80s, early 90s. And even then at that point it was like supercar stuff, not really what you'd expect to see on a muscle car or anything.
Some of muscle cars around this time, like this is around when they started putting disc brakes on performance versions of cars, and then they became common in the 70s.
Yeah.
All right, from the front, I would say this one is looking really quite like just solid, not over-designed. It just entirely suits the bill, and with the, of course, supercharger sticking out there, it's obvious what it is made of. So yes, it ticks all the boxes from the front. The side, the line connecting it, also having the same look on the bumper in the front as on the side stripe there, going down at the bottom with the side vent. Just nice and simple, but it works. And the rear, if you go back to that, I think is also quite well done. It nicely is combining the elements that were on the sides with the rear grille there, and the lights fit in perfectly. So I quite like this one. It just feels like a super solid design that also doesn't want to be exuberant and sticking out too much. And I quite like that. It is maybe not enough for a cover car in that sense, but as it wouldn't necessarily turn the heads, but at the same time, it's just an overall great design.
Yeah, I tend to agree that it's a solid design. It's got some good elements in it, but it is a little it's a little bit understated. I mean, obviously, apart from the great big supercharger and carburetors and vent hanging out the hood, which is about as far as you can get from being understated. But it's got a pleasing shape. Everything is all the details except for, and I hate to say this because I do like rear window louvers. I think in this case they don't really fit that nicely.
They're not quite fitting somehow.
Yeah.
It feels like the car's. It feels like the car is aiming to be like a 67, 68, but like, the louvers were kind of a thing in the 70s.
Yeah.
Even like stuff like the bumper fangs as well. It certainly has a vision, but it seems a little, I wouldn't say maybe confused, but it's kind of using features from like a 10-year range, which ends up looking maybe a little odd in places.
All right, so what would you say?
That's a good question.
I
would
really
say,
don't know.
From a cover car perspective, it is a little bit on the understated side, and I think, admittedly, some of that is just down to the color of it. I mean, it's a sort of a blue like this is it's an under the radar kind of color. I would say overall, I'll give it a 7. I think it's a nice design overall. It's maybe a little too muted. I mean, obviously we could change the color if this is the way that we're gonna go, but there's just a few other features. Like, I'm not really that keen on the side strip that's going on here. It doesn't really, the level changes too much, from the rear bumper through the side of the car to the front bumper, and whatever's going on in the, down on the rocker panel is a little bit odd. But some of the details, I like the front of the car quite a bit, and I obviously like having the supercharger and the carbs hanging out up top. But yeah, it's solid, but not quite to the level that I'd like to see.
Just to answer a comment in the chat as well by PDK Saurus, reusing features from 10 years ago is fine. Nowadays, sort of, maybe in the 2000s, maybe, but this in the 60s and 70s was at a time when the car market was changing very rapidly, and especially in America, cars would change
every
every
years.
year. Yeah. So this sort of looks like the other way around, where instead of doing a full facelift with like maybe a new body style or a new grille, it's just like a car from say 1966 with parts from 1971 or 2, which looks a little odd. It's not bad, but it is a bit odd, and like the others have said as well, the color doesn't really complement it that well. It's certainly not a bad car, mind you. It's a really nice car, but I think I'm gonna go with like a 6.5.
Yeah, I would honestly agree on a 6 or 6.5. For me, this is a very nice build and a supercharger.
Yeah,
like
for
that's, sure. It is a supercharged vehicle by the book, and that's it. There's not like it. Yeah. If you just put your hand over the supercharger, does it change change anything from like the vibe or the feeling? I would say no.
Yeah, it does. I think I get what you mean. It does kind of feel like it was put there for the sake of just being put there.
Yeah, go back to the rear panel or the rear third quarters, and you will see what I mean.
Yeah, it just blends in. It's just any other muscle car now at this point.
Yeah.
A good muscle car, but so yeah, I'm gonna follow here with the 6.5, I think.
Also I'm rambling a lot this time, but another tangent I want to go on very quickly. If you want to make, this is just a general statement, if you want to make muscle cars from this era, obviously prefacing with, it's your car, do whatever you want. But if you want to do it realistically, read up on light regulations, because this is a great car, but all of the light regulations are all wrong on this thing.
Yeah.
So if you want to do realism, read up on it. But other than that, again, it's your car. Do whatever you want.
Oh, I think I didn't mention it. I was giving a 7.0 for being rock solid. This is very different, is it?
This is extremely
No,
different.
something completely different.
We have gone from a retro muscle car to a retro modern resto mod muscle car from Chill Pollens.
That is long.
That is
a
very
long.
And very low.
Look at the rake on that rear. Oh my god.
Yeah, that's really
Looks like an
something.
airplane wing.
That is quite a stunning design, I have to say. It is not what you necessarily would expect. It does look muscly, that's for sure. Super wide look. The flares are just so chunky. It very, very nicely fits in the overall design of the car. It flows together really well between the front and the sides and the rear, with all the molding being done there. Very nice work, especially on the rear fenders there. Holy, they are
That is
just
well done.
fit
Yeah.
nicely.
There's a lot of 3D work going on in this one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Probably the most we've seen so
You can
far,
see,
except for maybe Blocko's, which I think his was all 3D. This is just mostly 3D fixtures.
Yeah, all 3D sounds like Blocko.
Yeah.
This you can kind of usually there's a few ways to tell when it's 3D. I mean, you can look at the the trunk on this thing. You can see the molding, like the way the patches kind of go over each other, but it's kind of forgivable because that's 3D fixtures. That's what happens. So it's still super impressive. Like Kilrob said, the molding over the rear fender is amazing. I love how it flows into that like enclosed rear bumper light space.
Yeah, I think the only two things I could nitpick right now is like I don't quite like the photos of this, how they're made, and those wheels are very shiny, and the design gets a bit lost in the depth of that. But otherwise, damn.
Yeah.
It is really cool. But with that said, it kind of again ends up as one of those cars that, like, I can tell that it's supercharged because it has the little piece on the hood, but it doesn't really stand out much. It's not really something that announces, "Hello, I'm supercharged." There's just a black piece on the hood.
It technically could be like just twin turbo V8. I could see that, especially with the holes there.
Yeah.
Well, I mean the Hellcat also has that, and the Demon, so
Yeah,
fair.
stuff like the regular Challenger you could have with a shaker, and that's not supercharged.
Yeah.
My big concern, though, is I'm just not really a fan of the side profile. It looks
It's very long.
kind of awkward
Yeah.
and long and not really an appealing way.
Yeah.
And I mean, I get that it's a huge amount of work to change it, going through with all the 3D fixtures and stuff, but you've gone to all the effort to change the front and the rear extensively with it. It kind of needed a little bit of a trim through the middle too, maybe cut the cabin a little bit shorter, front and rear. And if you're really feeling sort of energetic, maybe drop the roof just a little bit, because this thing is so long and so low that all of a sudden you have this normal sized looking cabin, and it just kind of takes away from it a little bit.
I think something that'd probably, I say, fix some of the problems, even though I know it's a ton of work to do, but if the wheelbase was moved closer to the middle, especially the front wheels, that'd probably help quite a lot, because it just ends up looking really kind of stretched out in a way.
Oh, I can see what you mean. Yeah, just have the front wheels tucked more in. Well,
Yeah.
not in, but you know what I mean. To the middle. Yeah, that would help. Yeah.
All right, so now for scoring. I would say for me this is a 7.5. It is stunning, and at the same time it is stunning, but at the same time slightly awkward, and certainly something you would look at in great ways and slightly weird ways. So yes, and it does look supercharged. But yeah, it's a great design with flaws.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm going. Unfortunately, I'm going to go 6.5 on this one, just because I'm really not a huge fan of the proportions of it from the side profile. And as much as the 3D work is a lot of it, it's a little sloppy in places, unfortunately. I mean, it would have been nice if it was a little cleaner, so 6.5 for me.
I think I'll go with a 7.5. I know the amount of work that goes into a 3D car like this, and even if it's not perfect. So while it's not perfect, sadly, it's a lot of work. I can imagine this took a while, and the end product is, even with its flaws, it's really impressive. So I think 7.5.
Yeah, I can go with that. Just I really like this car. Just don't look too long at it, and then it will be even better.
Next entry is from Derbyre, and it is his 1930s hill climb special.
The dualies.
That's so cool. Certainly a turbulent part of history, to get that out of the way.
Yes.
But some of these cars are really cool. There's a mod in Assetto Corsa for some of these. Namely, one of them is an Auto Union, which has the dualies on the... I think it has the dualies on the back. At least one of the mod versions does. Putting like a good 500-something horsepower in a 30s race car is nothing short of absolutely terrifying, and also so much fun.
I mean, 500 horsepower and a weight of nothing.
Yeah. These
engine.
were...
For
These were,
aluminum build, yeah.
I think of the... At least, I mean, this appears to be inspired by the German cars of the 30s, and they were supercharged. The W124, I want to say. I don't remember. And the Auto Union Type D, C, all those. They did have superchargers. The W124 might be 90s. I don't remember which one, but it's a W and then a number.
Yeah, they're all... That was how they had to make power, because they had, rules for engine size, if I recall correctly, at the time, that required them to go supercharged. But this is
It was the W125, not the 4, the 5.
Yeah, I mean, this is an absolutely stunning build overall, I'd have to say. It's everything you'd kind of want from a car of this era and a car of this type. It's, whether you're looking into the cockpit and you see the old style rev counter that's, basically the size of a wall clock, and all the little rivets down the side. I mean, that's just... The detailing is just incredible.
The leather straps across it as well to hold the bonnet in place.
Just say,
That's
gotta
pretty
keep it
cool.
apart at some point or somehow, yeah.
And even the hinges on the...
yeah.
Even the hinges on
The
the
hinges, yes.
the hood is a nice little touch. I mean, it's exactly what they would have done, and it's like there is no detail that's been overlooked in this build.
It is really impressive. Even just stuff
I'm
like
sure
the...
Martin knows about details that were overlooked in this build, but we won't be able to see them in 5 minutes.
I like the all the details that have been mentioned as well. Stuff like the shape of the headrest. Even that has been, taken into consideration. All the rivets, all the tiny stuff. This is so impressive.
All right, so let me say a few things about the build quality. I don't have to say anything about this. I mean, this is obviously superb, right?
Yep.
So kind of 9 to 10 score-ish. But
Yeah, for sure.
this is obviously from an era that does not exist in automation. Having that
Indeed.
as a cover car would imply that we have added that, which means that's not a good cover car.
That's
Also,
my thought.
this body does not exist in automation for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
As such, it doesn't make for a good cover car, because then people who are coming into this and seeing like the cover art are like, oh shit, I want to build this. And then they open up the game and say, false advertising, you bastards. And yeah, that's not great. So I think build fantastic. Theme very accurate to its era. It's just really well done, but it can't be the cover car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Pretty much agreed. Also, Derbyre in the comments. Yeah, I expected these comments, but I wanted to build it anyway.
Exactly.
Good. Very good.
Very good.
Continue.
I can
Just
appreciate
keep
that
on
kind of
going.
stubbornness.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to give this one a 7. I think. I mean, the build is perfection, but because as Killrob said, it doesn't exist in the game. The game doesn't cover that era, etc., etc. It's just not a worthy cover car, unfortunately. Maybe if we ever do,
Yeah.
if we ever completely lose our minds and do a prehistoric automation or
Real thing.
automation too that goes back to like 1910 or whatever. Maybe it would be a good cover car then, but unfortunately not now.
I'm tempted to
I
give it a
don't
really
wanna-
high score, but it's gonna have to be disqualified. I want to give it like a 9, but it's a 9 DQ.
I can't. I can't give it a high score. It's there you go. It's getting a 6 because so it's lower than the other ones. So it gets disqualified, I guess.
I'll just stick it with a 7 so that so that your funny math thing works, Chips.
Yeah.
It's definitely a build, at least a 9, but then theme just
Yeah.
unfortunately incompatible.
Moving on to our next build, which is from Ellie, and this is a classic 1950s Lakester style dragster / land speed car.
I would not trust 4 rivets or 4 bolts to hold those wheels on.
Ah,
With
it's
that
fine.
being said, man, this is cool.
I
Look at
love
that.
those.
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
That's
Oh,
pretty
shit,
cool.
the engine.
It's all engine, this car.
What is this? Is this 4 barrel carbs or something?
I think it's got a V16 in it, actually. That's about the only...
Looks like it.
Straight out of a plane or something.
Yeah, it's a
Wouldn't
V12
surprise me.
it's a V12 or V16. It's
Actually,
obviously
is
very
that-
heavily modified.
Are those 2 engines? Because
Huh.
you see the rocker like covers stop and then begin again.
It could be something similar to that. You know, maybe they're trying to, I
That
don't know,
would
emulate
make
the...
sense because the distance between the second and third carburetor is higher.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be.
There's actually, come to think of it, there's actually a car in... This reminds me of a car that was in Mad Max. There was a car in that movie / game, the newer ones, which is called the Twin. I'm gonna put an image of it in the chat now, which has 2 engines in a line. I think it might be something like that, and oh, it's so cool.
Nope, it had the GMV16 from that truck.
Oh yeah, the actual but the point is it's supposed to look like it has 2 engines. And in the game it has 2 engines. But that's really hard to do, so movie magic.
And I think from a design standpoint, this is obviously very 3D art and very well made as well. It is supposed to look as chunky as it does. It does look like a speed racket car, or, well, drag racer in that sense. Is it a cover car for the game? I would also say no, because that
Absolutely,
is...
sadly, no.
It is. This is not what automation is about. It is a damn cool build.
It
It's
is also,
well
but,
executed as well, especially the engine once again. It's not the. It's hard to tell if it's the same fidelity as we saw for the blocker car, but I mean, it is beautiful.
Echoing the same comments as Rob, this is an absolutely beautiful build, but is it really appropriate for an automation cover car? Since we don't really have bodies like this, and we don't have chopped roofs like that, and we don't have engines like that, probably not. But as a build, it's a 10 out of... It'd be 10 out of 10 just on its own, but as a cover car, I'm probably going to give it a 7 again, just like what I gave the Bayer's car.
Yeah, same here.
I'm gonna do the same then. Yeah.
6.5 from me, as I do not like it as much just aesthetically as the 1930s racer. But yes, it is very well made.
Yeah, that's a car, actually, I think if we were going to roll back to our previous design challenge that we put up a video on our YouTube channel, the Jet H design car, that would have done quite well on that, I think.
Ooh, I can see that. Yeah.
Next build is from Gold 787 Flight Sim.
Oh, look, a normal car.
Well, normal.
Yeah, normal, air quotes.
Just carbon fiber everywhere. It's like perfectly normal. Like, see that every day, right?
Oh, it looks like it could have a record on the Nürburgring.
It might.
Yeah, it's like one of those. It's like one of those cars. It's like this is a normal car, and then they've told the engineers, okay, make it go really fast, and this is what happened. And as for the design itself, it's trying to do a lot of things, and I don't know if all of those things really work that well together. There's a lot of vents and a lot of open things, and there's a lot of things that don't really fit together, like that rear diffuser and the side skirt are not the same height at all. And I know not every car has them at the same height, but it does look really nice when they are. It's also generally just really tall, and the wheels are really big. There's a lot of things that kind of
It's
conflict a
really high
little.
off the ground for something like this, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. I think this is a car that the idea is a really good one. I enjoy the idea, but
Yeah.
the initial body choice is really holding it back.
The headlights are really nicely done. I think they fit perfectly to the design aesthetic, but overall, I think the design is quite on the busy side and like over-designed. It tries too many things. Just like, for instance, look at the double vents on the hood, and then the double vents on the side. I'm not counting the rear one, which is another one, and it is trying a lot of things. Yes, as you said, and I think it's just a little bit too much toy-like to really be a serious car. It feels like a track toy, basically, and one with probably really bad CD value.
Yeah, this one's all about making
I'm,
downforce and not actually
I-
going that fast.
I can't take my eye off the front wide body piece because it just ends
Yeah.
Ooh.
in a very sharp angle, and it doesn't go into like a splitter or anything. It just ends, and that I don't like that.
I wish you didn't point that out because now that's all I can see. At least in the rear, they did the same thing, with a subtle fender flare, but they covered it up with a little arrow bit, so it's not quite
Yeah.
as conspicuous.
All right, to me, this is. It has really nice design elements, but overall, it doesn't quite work. It's still pretty well crafted, but I can't give it more than a 6.
Yeah, I'm going 5.5 with this one, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Like, I like the idea, but my biggest problem is they just chose the wrong body for this. If they'd chosen something a little bit lower, a little bit meaner looking, then it would have been a lot better, I think.
I think my
Yeah,
biggest
I
problem
also-
is just that how everybody in the chat already noticed. This is very close to something which exists.
Yeah, it is.
Elephant of the room.
Yeah.
It's
I
a
wonder what
certain
this
product,
car's inspired
a horse.
by.
A certain horse.
Yes.
The horse in the room, like Izzy said.
Yeah, the horse in the room.
Also, it doesn't
I think,
necessarily look supercharged. This is
No,
more
that's
like,
true.
because of its design, it certainly looks to me very much turbocharged, not supercharged.
The only way you know that this is supercharged is if you know your cars and you know your current car news, and you look at that and say, "Oh yeah, I know
was
the
about
the
to
in
say
joke
that.
here."
Oh yeah, I only know it's supercharged because of what this is based off.
Exactly.
I think one of the maybe what like encapsulates what's not wrong with the car, but you know what I mean, is that it doesn't feel like it quite commits to what it wants to be. Because yeah, it's got a splitter, it's tiny, it's got a side skirt, it's got a diffuser, it's got things just for the kind of the sake of having them and kind of doing the whole horse thing that the horse car also does. I think if it committed more to it, then maybe that would have made more of a difference.
All right, moving on.
Yeah.
Man,
Now
This one is
look
from
at
Ivan.
this. Now look at this. This is how you do it. Yes, Ivan.
We have ourselves I'd say a relatively resto modded muscle car here. Sort of a little bit like the 2000 style of what they used to be doing to these things. But I mean, look at this though.
Yeah,
it's-
and
it-
also
it is a
look at
bit
the
modern with that,
photography.
yeah.
It's way
Oh.
better than what we have seen before.
Oh.
So, I mean, this helps a lot. But yes,
Yeah,
I would
almost
definitely say
controversial.
the overall first impression looks is this is very meticulously designed. And just look at the color
Yes.
choice there. I mean, this is also a photography thing, right? But
yeah.
just overall, everything seems to be flowing nicely together. There's nothing that sticks out as, ooh, this shouldn't be there. There's an ample amount of detail in it, both front and rear, sides as well. Look at the detailing there with the Sutherland on the sides in a very subtle, nice font there, just in brighter letters, and then in the rear, nice and proper, displayed also in the contrast color to the rest of the car, to the paint job. I think the wheels fit perfectly. The sides skirts there, the under tray sticking out there, also really nicely done. Overall, it's just beautiful.
And this engine bay.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Man, these photos look like real life. I'm giving this a high grade. I don't care.
The
It is
edges
really, really
there are
impressive.
really making it for me. In the engine bay there as well. It's the small details there make it look real.
Yeah, this is
Like
just
the insides and the molding and everything. Like, oh, there's a lot of little bits I just love.
even the placard and the firewall. You can't really see it very well in these images, but I've had a look at these because they came in at 4K, and it's actually completely all written out and makes sense. It's not just just random letters and stuff. There's been a lot of consideration put into this. Really, an incredible amount, actually.
I'm trying to like think of criticism, not to be mean against Ivan or anything, but
The only criticism I would have,
it's
like,
just so
not
well
a production
done.
car, but that's it.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a resto mod type thing, but
Yeah.
I think that works for this.
I mean, of course.
It's very clearly announcing. It's really clearly announcing what it is, and it's not afraid to do so. And I mean, look at the side molding, where like the piece on the back flows into it. It's fantastic. It's so good.
I think the only knock that I can put on it, and this is really quite a minor one, is I'm not really a huge fan personally of all the stuff going on in the under tray, but it's not really
that's
something
just-
they would do, but at the same time it's also something that probably was done anyways, with these sort of 2000s era resto modded muscle cars.
That's I'm saying. I don't think this is necessarily 2000s. This looks for me more modern. This looks like
this is
somebody
like
put all the stuff from like today's muscle car back into an old body. So for me, it makes total sense that it's
At least 2010
set up like this.
from the
okay.
the
Yeah.
lines and stuff.
Yeah, that's
13,
fair.
14, 16, somewhere there.
That's a fair comment
Yeah.
for sure.
It's definitely a modern thing, but I do think that regardless of one's opinion on resto mod muscle cars with side skirts and lowered and low profile wheels, regardless of what you think of those kinds of cars, this is so well done. And even if it is one of those, it just does everything really, really well. Just about perfectly, really.
All right, scoring 9.0 from me. There's not much to say
9.5.
about this.
You know what? I think we give it a 9.5 as well. This is just
The only thing holding me back is just like, do we want to have this as a cover car? I would like to, but is it a good?
Yes.
Would it be a good choice?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I think so. With those considerations, this is definitely something that you would be building in modern era times to harken back to the olden golden days of muscle cars, right?
yeah.
This being a DeLuan update, of course, makes it a little bit more difficult because the true muscle cars come from Gazmere. But that makes this one fit even better because it's not a true muscle car, it's a retro true muscle car, a modern one, right? Something that tries to be an homage to the bestest of times. And I think it accomplishes that, so it does fit into the lure.
Yep.
And I think they would be driving around something like this and be all bling about it, so it's
Well,
perfect.
Well,
Absolutely.
sadly it won't sell because the body age penalty is minus 50%.
Sorry about that.
Wap,
It
wap,
depends
wap.
on what base body you chose, though. This is the magic number, the generator there, yeah?
I think it's the totally not a Cadillac body. It looks like it because that's what I used as well for the muscle car that I did that I've reposted a million times by the name of the Serpent Brawler. It looks like that. I think it's that, and it's a great body.
This one is from our good friend Kanye West.
Oh,
Oh, hell yes.
This is really something, isn't it?
My first thought of this was, man, that looks like something that'd be in Hot Wheels.
Yep.
Yep.
You went from one SEMA build to the next one.
Yeah. That was my first thought here when I saw
Real
it.
lights there. That's weird.
pretty
Is
weird.
that just in the photo, or
I
something
think that
going
might
awry
be.
there?
I think it might be just an effect of the photo there, or maybe the material that was chosen there is kind of glitched out a little bit. Or maybe that was intentional, who knows?
Look at the little pipes coming out of the side, like all weird angles and stuff. It's perfect.
Yeah.
This thing is very, very playful. I really like it about it. It's certainly not something that I would put on the cover, because it's a little bit of a middle finger to something that is supposed to be somewhat serious. But I love it for that as well. So this is
It is really
so weird and cool at the same time.
Why does this remind me of a fucking PT Cruiser? I don't know.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it's a heavily modified PT Cruiser.
The best way of saying it. Like, I love it.
Yeah, this is really
It is really good.
This is a super fun build for sure. And the thing that I like about it is it's so different than everything else we've seen that it's just you can't help but smile at it.
Yeah.
It's a very fun car, yeah. It's one of those really fun ones that you just see and you kind of have to maybe do a double take. What is that? That's so cool.
And this is something that I see in a lot of really good automation builds is that it looks simple on the surface, but when you actually start digging into it, there's a lot going on, and it's actually a very complex and carefully considered design in a lot of ways, I like designs that are like that, where it's not busy just for the sake of being busy.
Yeah, like if you go back to the photo of the rear of it,
Yeah,
real
just a
quick,
sec.
I wanted to comment on if you look at the roll cage, it has little holes that it goes into, because I'm assuming it goes through the cabin as well, or at least into it, because it acts like a full roll cage. And just adding like that little hole for it to fit in, it's so good. Yes.
Yep.
Because you could just do the easy route of just put it in there and just say, it's just really well fitted on there, so you don't see the hole. But why not put the hole there? It's an extra detail. It gives it a bit more character. There's a lot going
Also-
on, like you said, and it's good.
Is this a fan car?
I want to say that's the radiator,
That's probably just the
I
radiator.
think so. Okay.
Yeah.
but that is rear pushrod suspension.
And it has a huge diffuser on it too.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, what do we do for scores? I would say, because it's creativity for this one is 9.5 or something. But as a cover car, like I said, it does look too toy-like for me to be considering it for the cover. And as such, despite how well it is made and how creative it is, I can only give it a 7.5.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna.
Also,
I'm gonna give this.
Kanye in the. I was just gonna say Kanye in the event stage here. The lights are supposed to be red on the back, but the photo I guess messed up or something. It happened.
Yeah, I assume that's not.
It's probably filter or something even then. I don't know. I kind of would like to give this the same fate as as the car from the buyer and Butterville special. Like, oh, I love this, but ooh, you cannot use this as a cover car.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing that you look at. Imagine if you're a new player and like, where do you even begin making something like this?
Exactly.
And on the one hand, it's impressive because Kanye knows how to make this. It's so funny saying Kanye knows how to make this, but either way, he knows how to make this, and it's really impressive. But from a new player perspective, it's just, how do you even get to this? It's so cool, but it's a bit maybe confusing in that aspect.
Yeah, I'm gonna
All
go
right, let's
7.5 on this one here.
7.5, yeah.
Yeah.
To answer a comment as well, why does the 30s race car not make sense as a cover car? Because the game starts in 1945.
1946, technically.
Yeah, 46.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, and that kind of car is sort of mid to late 1930s, basically. So, as cool as it is, it's just not really something that fits in with the game.
I think I'm gonna give this an 8. It's really cool. I love the creativity.
So to
is
answer a
fun,
question we
yeah.
had in the chat, how did we decide what year to start the game in at 1946? And that's basically the reason why, is because it's sort of the post-war era. Also because pre-war, there really isn't a whole lot of documentation in terms of how cars are designed or the engineering and stuff, which makes it actually very difficult to simulate stuff. So post-World War II is a lot easier from our perspective, and it's just a nice delineation point, basically.
And by that point, tech has settled down. The wild pioneering days of just making whatever are over, and they are settling on solutions that have proven themselves to work.
Yes.
And that is the only way you can design the game a game like Automation to really work without having to do like 10 times the work on the design of the game. Because you have so many technologies that are completely obsolete that the player of Automation does have no incentive to use to gain any benefit in terms of performance of the car or engineering ease or whatever. So post-war it is, and if you made the design way less of a simulation, then lots of other things could be done earlier than this could be done, and other games have done that. But that is because they're not as heavily simulating things as we are.
I think this was also the reason we don't have Flathead, because they're like basically
They're completely
like phased out by that point.
Yeah, it's just remnants of production for them at that
The
point.
only reason they still used them post-war was massive familiarity with the system.
Yep.
And that's what they were doing
around
before,
this,
so yeah. This is from Maybe,
Wait,
and it
we're
is
judging? Huh?
very obviously a monster truck.
Damn, I love snow runners.
Smallest truck in Texas.
With a bucket seat on top on an aluminium or steel plate, of course, not aluminium. Why go lightweight?
When all you're looking to do is
That's
crush
literally-
cars, that's what you want.
Yeah. Dual suspension arms there. Massive.
Yeah, there's a lot of great detail in this, actually. I mean, this is basically all 3D created chassis and all the tube frames, all the suspension. The engine, I think, is... Let's go back to that. There's some of the automation engine left in there, but there's also a lot of other stuff added to it.
Yeah, this is impressive. This is overall a really impressive build. Probably took forever to make.
Yeah.
Or was already lying around from previous version of the game and was beefed up to properly be put in its place where it belongs. So overall, I mean, design is crazy. Can we take another look at the actual car, the body that is?
Yep.
Sits on top of this majestic construction. Yeah, I mean, even that is solid. Really solid, and I love the front design. It's great on this one. But I mean, who cares about about the actual design there as long as it's good enough? If it's a friggin' monster truck.
Yeah, I really like this. This is another one of those designs where I mean, obviously, when you look past the incredible detail and all the chassis and stuff, like the body work, there's a lot of it's still originally an automation body, but there's so much 3D work going on. Basically, everything from the windshield forward and from sort of the C-pillar at the back of the cab all the way back. That's almost entirely 3D work, as I can see it.
Not quite fan of the bumper, but that's a complaint I just
Yeah.
found.
I can't tell if that bumper is that. There's a fixture that looks like that bumper. I don't know
Did
if
you
it
bring
is
the
that fixture.
bumper?
Yeah, I don't know if it
Looks like
actually
it.
is that fixture, but it looks like it is. And I mean, you know, I can't knock it too
It looks
much with how
very
impressive
flat
the rest
from
of it
here.
is, but
Yeah.
it is really cool. But
Since we've upped the maximum engine size, people have been asking, but are there bodies that fit it? I think here you have the answer. 75 liter? No, this would be half the size. So it's probably just a 30 liter V8 or something. But I mean, this is the same theme as before, right? This can't be the cover car.
Yeah.
It is so impressive how everything is put together, and it's a high quality at that. Really well done. But I can't give it more than a 7 because it just can't be the cover car. Sorry.
yeah, it is kind of a similar situation to the other ones as well, where it's really cool, it's really impressive, it's very, very well done. But I can't see this on the page for the game.
I could see this on the page for SnowRunner.
Yeah,
Only if this would actually be a car in the game, though. Imagine this not being in the game and being on the cover. That would lead to the exact same problem as we would have.
Yeah, exactly. Screams of false advertising.
Yeah. Beautiful done. Beautifully done. Like, all the detail in there. It's so large, and then yet such small detail exists, like with the... What is it next to there? The battery? Sitting next to the...
I think so. It looks like
Yep.
it, yeah.
Yep.
Looks like the battery.
That's a battery beside
Yeah.
the driver's seat, and you've got...
So basically access to the starter motor. Oh, yeah, makes sense.
And if you look below that, they've even got the brake booster with the brake lines and even all the nuts
God
with
damn.
the unions in there. I
Crazy.
mean, there's just nothing has been omitted here. This is crazy.
All right. 7s all around, I see.
Looks like.
Yep.
And well done.
Next one is from Priam. And this is his mid-sized
normal
muscle car.
That's beefy. Look at that.
Yep.
It
The
is.
first word into my head was just beef. Look at that.
Yeah, so this would
I've
be
noticed
a...
actually.
Shoulder. Wow.
I've noticed almost all of the muscle cars we've seen have had squared off fenders from Max's fender pack. I don't know if that's just a coincidence, but almost all of them have had them. They do look nice though, so
I'm really liking this one quite a bit. It feels very period appropriate.
it
Yeah.
does.
If this was painted black, it's exactly what you'd expect to see in like Bullet as the baddie car, basically.
Ooh, yeah.
And Chris would say, but the color choice and the lighting.
Oh yeah, the photography kind of lets this one down a little bit, doesn't it?
Yep.
It does.
Which is too bad because it's an awesome build.
It really is. I do think that chrome line that follows the side, I do think that should have been put all the way up to kind of not really conjoined, but like right next to the surround of the head of the taillights in the back. It just kind of ends, and that could have been like, you know, it's a nitpick, but that could have looked nice.
I really like the body molding that is being going on here on this one. It does add a lot of chunk to the car, like this massive shoulder going on the end in the front, of course, the scoop and the bulge with the vent. It has, because of that, a slightly weird side profile, but it's unique. Like, you would instantly recognize that profile if it was just blacked out and this was a real car. You would instantly say, like, oh yeah, it's this car. So it is doing really well in that regard. Also consistent from front to back. Nice design, classy rear. I really like it. I really like it overall. It's well made.
It looks like it reminds me of a burnout car, which is a compliment. It's really
I can see that.
brick. It's like brick shaped and beefy and just big. Like it's got a huge body. It's got kind of small wheels, and it looks like a building. And it's really cool. I like that. It's very muscly in a good way.
Yeah, I tend to agree. This has a real feel of solidity to it. And just looking here at this rear three-quarter view, I mean, I criticized the photography earlier, as being sort of not very well lit. But in this case, the way it highlights the sort of the
This
body
photo
lines,
is great.
that's a really good shot. This is where playing with a light like this actually makes a lot of sense. So that's a really, really good shot.
And potentially really highlights the mistakes you made. But in this case, there are
Very
there
few.
are basically none. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
very well done.
It does. Kind of
For
look
me,
like
this
a
is
Mach.
this is just up there. It's a great build. It's an 8.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm with
it
you
is
with
a really
there.
good build.
It's 8.0 for me.
From all the, let's say, in-year muscle cars, this is the best I've seen at the moment. Feels at least supercharged.
It is very
It's-
Yes,
supercharged.
it is
Very
more bulky.
supercharged.
Yeah.
Boy, maybe you don't need an 8-liter supercharger on your 8-liter engine.
Yes, I do.
It's not necessary, but I want it.
Exactly. Oh, there's one more photo here.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, now it's no.
now it's a 1.
Sorry,
Drop.
Priam. Yeah, generally a nice solid build. So our next competitor here is Rift Hunter 4 with a very snaky looking sports car.
Yeah, a lot of lines going on.
Yeah.
Ooh, I can't. Ooh.
Is it breaking through the tarmac down the first shot? But
Oh yeah, kind of.
kind of was there. But yeah, I can see this one being supercharged. Feels racy for sure, like a really sporty little coupe. But also, it doesn't the lines themselves don't convey the supercharger chunk to me very
No.
well. This could be a. This looks to me like a twin turbo V8. Yes, indeed, it does.
Now, normally I'm very much like, try not to compare cars to their real counterparts because, we need to see them as automation cars. But this looks like a Fiat 124 had a baby with the Shelby Series 1 and this came out. And I certainly don't hate it. It's doing a lot of things really well, but it's a bit...
I don't know, honestly.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on, and this. Maybe this is like the highest trim level of it, but I
the
don't like.
photography isn't doing it a favor. If you look at this specific shot that we see here, it has white stripes. Don't take shots of it where you have fluorescent tubes that are straight on the roof. You see how there is so much going on with the extra lines that are not supposed to be there. Take it outside where you have a consistent source of light. And let it be a little bit more the simple car it is in terms of design, instead of having white stripes all over the car like in this shot.
Yeah, the photography is not helping much here, I'd say.
No. With that said, though, I do have to compliment one thing. If you go back to the side of the car, look, the door line, it goes through the stripe. Yes.
Yeah, that's very nice.
Ooh.
Very good.
That's a great little detail for sure.
Yeah.
Very nice.
That's something easy to miss and / easy to not do. But if you have the ability to do it, it looks good.
Yeah, seeing past the awful lighting, there is so much good build quality going on here, with very tasteful moldings and things fitting together the way they should. And I love the Sidewinder labeling there, or markings at the side as well. The front and the choice of light, I find a little too cute for the car.
Yeah, it does look kind of cute.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like, look at how happy it is.
It's one of those. It looks like one of those. It looks like a ball python. It's got kind of a cute face.
But a little baby one.
Yeah, a little baby ball python.
Mini Cooper, but this time's a coupe.
I'm gonna look up
So
white
to
and
me,
blue ball pythons.
To me, this overall is a nicely made car. Doesn't, at least to me, doesn't quite fit the what I wanted out of it as a thematic car. And good build, but I can't give it more than a 7 in the context of this competition.
I will go for 7.5 on this. I like a lot of the elements in it. Some of it I think is maybe not quite up to where I'd like to see it. The one big knock I do have against it, and this is really not anything to do with the car itself necessarily, but we've already had a fairly sporty car as one of our cover cars quite recently with the LCV 4.2 update. So we probably don't want a repeat of that quite so soon, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 6.5. I think my biggest knock with the car is that there's too much going on the front of it. There's a lot of different vents and things, and there's a splitter, and there's a grill in the splitter.
That's the same complaint I have. There's a lot of just lines that just go everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 6.
And a lot of times they're not going anywhere. The top of the grill in the bumper, the lower one, that just ends in nothingness. The rear at the lowest edge doesn't really go. I like this view.
Yeah, this one's nice. The rear end is pretty good.
I would give those wheels another inch or so, but
yeah, I'm gonna go with a 6.5 on this. It's good, but you know, it's one of those cars where it's good. It could do a few things better, but it's not bad.
This is from Riley.
Ooh.
And we've got ourselves
a
full-on Pro Street dragster here.
And of course, Riley Photography.
Yep.
Very action-packed. That looks dangerously short. This looks like it'd you'd put your foot down and it'd just wheelie onto its roof almost.
I hope it does.
Well, no, you see, it flips fully, so it lands on its wheels again. So.
Oh yeah. Oh, then
That's
there's no problem,
all
I suppose.
design intent, of course. Zephyrus strikes again. This is a wonderful build. Quite characteristic of him to have it I would say slightly over-designed on the sides.
Yeah.
With there's just a little bit too much contours going on with the side vents there. It's like a event in event kind of thing. It's very nicely crafted though, and I do notice is it supercharged? Yeah, yes, yeah, right, yeah, it is. Oh, right. I didn't see that. So
Just
yeah, I mean,
very subtly.
No offense, Rob.
this
You
does
might want
make
to see an eye doctor. It's
Yeah.
very big.
No, it's absolutely beautiful, of course. I love the meshes in front of the headlights, of course, giving it the racing style safety, so that the glass doesn't go everywhere. And yeah, the markings, labelings, beautiful details. The wing itself and on the rear also really nicely done. I quite love the build.
Yeah, I really quite like this too. I really don't have a whole lot more to say that other than what Rob did. I mean, it's got some. The one thing he'd mentioned, you really see it in this shot, is just how it's maybe a little bit over contoured in the rear, just with you have the body line that runs between the front wheel well and the sort of cheat line on the side, and then you've got the line that goes around the vent on the rear fender and then down over. That is maybe a little overdone.
Yeah.
Some people have mentioned in the chat, where is the car going in this shot?
It feels like it's being launched off an aircraft carrier.
I was to say,
Yeah.
it's probably that.
But there's a traffic cone on the aircraft carrier, which is, I don't think they usually do that. Maybe it's in the New Zealand aircraft carrier because they have cones everywhere.
Well, don't worry, there's nobody in the car. Everybody is
Oh, yeah,
safe.
sure.
It's fine. It's a bit heavy on the filter, isn't it? In my opinion.
Yeah.
It's kind of it's a very Riley thing to do.
Of course it.
Got the
Like I said,
Crontas
Riley
cranked up
Oscar-
to.
It is, yeah. I'm not sure if I like that. I don't know what's going on with the front bumper. Like the edges of the front bumper kind of like twirl upwards next to the grill. I don't know if I like that all that much. I see what's going on there, but the top of it just kind of looks all flowy and kind of weird.
Yeah, that's kind of a weird detail now that you mention that. It's not really something you'd necessarily see, I don't think, in era, that's for sure. And it's also not something you'd modify into your car either, for that matter, after the fact, because this will obviously be, a stock car that's been cut apart and modified in many, many ways. So, I don't know.
One thing that I would like to point out is that, of course, unless you have mods for visual design, you don't get that engine in automation.
No.
No, that's
because
true.
we
That is a
don't
lot.
have top-mounted carbs. That is just not something that manufacturers did because they don't fit, as you can see quite clearly in this shot.
Yeah, I think I'm going to give this one 8. Just because it has a problem with a lot of the builds is that the build's great in just about every way, but is it really appropriate to be a cover car? I struggle with that a little bit.
It does convey the message that is supercharged very clearly. I mean,
Yeah.
that's an advantage. So for me, it's an 8.5.
I think
I'm
I
gonna
would
go with
give it a bit more than what I just gave cars which were not necessarily fit for cover car, because this still fits a bit better than like the Salt Racer and stuff. It's at least like it was a production car at one point. It's technically doable, or like easily-ish doable. You could build something like this.
It's definitely closer to reasonable with an automation than
Yeah,
some of
exactly.
the other things.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 9. I really do like it. It's a little out there, but it's really cool. I really do like it.
Well, I mean, one thing you can't deny, though, is this is definitely a fun build. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's cool.
It's a funny car.
I get it. I got that joke.
This one is from Sure As Can Be.
Oh, I've been tailgated by that at least once.
I love those plates. Those like manufacturer logo plates they're so cool. I do that on almost all of my cars. It looks so nice.
It's a
And
great
this
little
is-
touch.
It is. It really just kind of completes the car, unless you want to have actual plates on it. If not, do this.
Yeah.
This car feels like it's one of the most realistic ones that we've seen. This looks straight up like something that
spoilers.
would be driving out on the road.
Yep.
Yep.
And it does look very luxurious, and it does look powerful, and quite fast with its profile as well. And those characteristics do thematically very nicely fit to the lure, which the Al-Rilma update, of course, is in. And other than that, though, I have to say it is just super solid, and it's a little understated almost, unless you look into the engine bay.
Excuse me.
Yeah, they're very much playing on the whole Aston Martin thing.
What is
Very
better than
Aston
one
Martin of you.
supercharger? Two superchargers.
Yes, it's very Aston.
I
But yeah,
shall
that's
give you 2
a way how
points.
you can fit it in there. If you don't fit one large supercharger, then you just take two.
Yep.
Just imagining a scene where, like, pulled up to a car meet or whatever, and then the owner is asked, "Oh, wow, is that thing supercharged?" And he just starts smirking because he knows he's about to open that hood.
You fell into my trap.
Yeah. I especially like this shot here. I mean, this is exactly what you'd see from like a press photo of, here's our wonderful new model from about 1995 or so.
Mm-hmm.
I bet this is one
Exactly
of
the
those cars that this is one of those cars that was ordered by like the Sultan of Brunei in the 90s that just single-handedly kept this company alive.
Yep.
Just calling them up like, "Hey, could you make a car with a twin supercharger? I'll pay you like 30 million." Okay.
Yeah, this is a muscle car for, obviously, for the very wealthy, doctor, lawyer, someone who's very, very well off and wants to kind of fly under the radar a little bit. And
Lawyers, doctors, mafia bosses, leaders of regimes.
Exactly.
It does have the power necessary to carry that extra armor plating, that's for sure.
I like this
It has
overall.
that
I like the vents.
mid-late. It has that mid-late like Aston Martin vibe to it, which is good. I like the split grille. That's really cool.
With the extra cutouts next to the
Yeah,
main
the
grill.
extra cutouts. And the I wouldn't say diffuser maybe, but that like little plastic black follow round under the bumper. Yes, that looks cool. I love doing that as well in my cars.
That's exactly what we do in a car like this that is intended to go just a little bit faster than the base model. You gotta tweak that arrow. I like the dual headlight washer or headlight wipers. I mean, that is so 90s right there.
Yeah. That would brake so fast, and it's amazing.
Yes.
Depends what
I
breaks
don't
first here.
I don't even want to know, like, oh, if this thing breaks and you have to take it to the mechanic. Oh no.
Oh,
I don't wanna-
somebody's eyes are. Somebody can just order a Rolex. No, that's what's gonna
Yeah.
happen. Your mechanic is gonna buy 2 Rolexes. That's gonna happen. One for each supercharger.
Yeah.
All right, but I do have a question here. Like, if you see this one, say, from a front-ish shot like this, does this one scream supercharger to you? To me, it doesn't necessarily. It's muscly, very high premium luxury, and super solid design, like beautifully crafted.
Yeah.
But to me, this is not quite the cover of a a supercharger update.
It's
But it's a friggin' beautifully designed car.
Yeah.
it's one of those cars where, like, if you know what you're looking at, it's really cool. But someone who might be getting into cars or might not be that into cars, they see this and this just looks like a car.
Yeah. It's kind of like this car is kind of like the Jag XJR in that it's one of those cars that you have to know that it's,
Yeah.
it's kind of an inside thing. It's like, if you know what this is all about, you know that it's a serious performance machine, but your average person looking at it is just going to say, oh, that's just a big luxurious car.
Yeah, there could be anything in this, especially from this shot. Could be an N96, could be V12, could be anything.
So to me, the quality of the design overall is a 9. But because it's not quite fitting the cover, at least in my mind, I have to downgrade it to just 7.5.
I think I'm going to stick with an 8.5 on this one, just because I mean, I'm a sucker for this kind of car, so I freely admit it. But all the points I do deduct from it, it's again because it's maybe not quite as appropriate for a cover car as some of the ones we've seen so far.
Yeah, I'm also gonna go with an 8.5 because it's really cool and it's really nice and I really like it. But as a cover car, I think it's maybe a bit understated in a way. It should kind of announce itself a bit more.
I think it's a bit better than the other cars. We said the same things about it, but yeah, it's still not 100% there. So 8.
The engine bay, though, holy shit, that's a 10.
Yeah,
that's good.
I love that. Yeah, everything that's.
But you couldn't use it as a cover picture because we don't have that in game.
Yeah, we don't have dual superchargers. Yes.
No. And plus, people will be wondering, why does my engine not look like that? Why is there no details in my engine?
Yeah. Have you seen that it's super and then charged
Yeah.
on the...
Oh yeah.
Oh,
It's really cool.
That's a fun detail. Nice.
the knuckle tattoo of automotive design.
It's like it reminds me of
So good.
if you've seen the wheels on the Ford GT90, like the tires, they say GT90 in the grooves. It's so cool. It's so details like
Just
that,
to
like
drive it.
putting funny little details like that in cars is pretty entertaining.
This one is from Texas Slav, and it is very obviously a modern super sedan.
Yep, this looks like it could be in a police chase.
Absolutely, yes.
Or in a street takeover.
Yes. Probably both then.
I do like the rear shot. It's very strong lines along the side and the rear.
It's a very aggressive design. And very strong.
Yes, from the front side here, I mean the molding line along the side with that is integrating there is really nicely flowing towards the front with the little bend towards the front where the headlights are also bending in the same way and so on. So I think the design consistency here is great. I do feel it's a little bit too much, but not way too much. It's like very nicely designed overall.
I think the side profile here that we're working on is a little bit awkward. I think some of that, though, unfortunately, is just the body and automation can be a little bit misproportioned at times, depending how you morph it. But it feels very heavy in the rear.
Also, just in the chat, Texas Slav, was this you and? Is it Kyorg? Is it Kyorg? I don't actually know. Is it both of you, or is it just okay? So it's two people.
Texas Slav and Kyorg working together on this build. Then my apologies to Kyorg for not crediting him initially.
He has been erased from existence, unfortunately. This is really cool, though. I mean, I like the grille especially. It reminds me of those like HSV cars, and also Pontiacs, and this and that, and just big V8 boxes with huge engines that go really fast, but they're not that expensive. And I love stuff like that. It's really cool. This one definitely falls in that line.
I would say, in terms of the grille, some of it I really like. Like the bottom section is really good. That's expertly done, and I like the body moldings around it to give it a little bit more strength. I will say though, however, that the upper grille, the way it kind of dips down, feels kind of weak. Like it's kind of melted a little bit, and it's drooping. It's not really. It's not a strong enough line there, I don't think.
I'm just not a fan of the headlight design or the shape of that. I don't know.
Especially
now the bend like up and down again. I don't know.
I feel like
not
that like bottom part. I don't know if that's LED or something. It's really big and just kind of completely flat.
The rear is pretty nice.
That rear is great. That's really nice.
I also like the custom license plate too. I mean, it's not a manufacturer plate, but it's very thematic.
It is, yeah. I also like. I can also shout out the dimensions of the wheels and the tires. Those look beefy. very good. Fits this one really well.
And realistic, yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And shout out to correctly spelling Al-Rilma. So
Yes.
Yeah, that is good.
it's a bonus right there.
Poor Blocko.
Yeah, overall, this also looks like just a car that would be on the road, which is great. I think that is something that the cover shot also, if possible, should convey that you can build realistic things in automation that are really cool, and as such, I think it fits the bill. And to me, this is a great build overall. It is not something that I go at and say like, oh my god, this is the best thing ever, but it is great. So it's an 8.
Yeah, it's definitely a very solid build, I'd have to say overall. I quite like a lot of the stuff going on. I mean, in spite of the criticism I did level against it, overall it's quite nice.
Were there any more photos of it or no?
We have, unfortunately, a lot of the photos are kind of duplicates of one another, sort of similar angles, but from just different heights. So we have the 2 front, 2 rear quarter, and then the side profile shot.
Okay, because there was one, Texas have said that there was a top-down shot of the blower. I don't think we've seen that one yet. If there is one. I don't want to spoil the next car either.
Yeah, I don't think that shot, unfortunately, got included in the package that we had sent to us in the initial challenge. I mean, I've still given it an 8.5 for my score.
Oh yeah, I think I'll join you on that. 8.5
Yep.
it's worthy of that for sure.
Yeah.
Shout out to the correct marker lights as well, by the way. Very good.
Yes.
Orange on the front
yeah.
and red on the back. Very good.
Yeah,
What was
that's
that last photo there, I think. The one where it was like kind of angled from the top of the front end.
Oh yeah, there we are.
There
yeah.
we go, yeah.
Ah.
That looks mean. I like that.
Yeah, it's a mean looking car for sure.
Oh, apparently that black is not part of the hood. It's like that. I'm guessing that stays there when you open the hood, a la Corvette.
Oh, it's cut out.
Oh, that's a cool idea.
Yeah, I went with 8.
Okay.
Well, there need to be some leaves in there for you to blow, right? So
Ah.
So this one is from
classic
CB.
Green and gold is an amazing color combo,
Yeah.
and I think it should be used more. This is an example. Look at that.
oh yeah, that profile is is
And
quite
then
something.
once again with the squared fenders, by the way. Not a bad
Yeah.
thing, but there they are again.
But different, yeah. The same but different.
Yeah.
Is this like a what would that be? Like a late 80s design?
This
Yeah, it's like
is,
yeah.
I think it's very much inspired by the TWR Supercat, which is the
Yeah.
very heavily modified Jaguar XJS that has been very much in the forefront of the
It
resto
is.
mod world in the last few months.
Yep, that's probably the idea. But this looks more in era instead of the retro mod.
Yeah, this would be more something like what Lister, sort of the big Jaguar modifier, would have probably done in era. You know,
Yep.
they were big at doing all the body kits and putting, great big superchargers on the big V12 engine and making that XJ into something that truly ferocious as a performance car. It's a pretty cool build overall, I gotta say.
It is, yeah. I
It
really
is a
like how
cool
the
build.
the wide body and like generally just the body kit is really well put together. Everything fits. It's not like there's no parts that make you kind of question, oh, why is that there? It's all just it's very appropriate.
Yeah. I didn't
I like
realize
the
it had a...
fact that I like the fact they left the sunroof in too, because it's extra detailing and just I would love to put that open in this thing, see how fast it could go.
Yeah. I didn't realize it had a hood scoop until I looked in this final shot here.
It does, yeah. It's got
Oh,
like a
Nice,
Very
It's got a
visible
huge-
from the
one, too.
side as well, profile.
Yeah.
But yes, it's big, but fitting. What I would say though is that when you look at it from the rear, that's certainly a So what is this normal-ish car? It's like, what
Or I wouldn't say that necessarily. It looks already very thick, even from the back.
Yeah, it's got a
Sure,
lot of
but
aero going
compared to
on.
what's going on in the front, in terms of engine and so
Oh, yeah.
on, it's not quite there. And I do like the front design quite a bit better. It looks very wide And with the sizing of the headlights being reasonably small, it also looks massive overall, because it just makes the rest seem even larger that way. And the hood scoop is massive. So that's really cool.
Yeah,
The body kit on it, like the molding that is hinting at the extra aerodynamics, is very nicely crafted. I don't see anything where it's like looking like it's this is clearly just some slapped down 3D fixtures. It looks like the body is supposed to be this way. Very impressive, as those shapes aren't necessarily the easiest to combine. The smooth curves and the straights in between there, all being angled the same front and rear as well. Very nicely crafted.
It is.
yeah, a lot of work went into making this look very clean, and I really do appreciate that.
The only thing I don't like is there's a lot of space for dicks in this photo. I just want to zoom it in. I don't know.
It is, yeah, that's true. The car doesn't take up as much of the photo as I'd like, especially in the other photos. This one's okay,
Yep.
but there was like this one. This
There's
one's
a lot of
almost
space.
okay, but just like zoom it in a little. Just put it at
Not
this one
quite
too.
centered.
Yeah,
And this too, just closer. Put it closer.
I'll also say that this
Photos
is a
can-
very... Sorry, go ahead, Screen.
Just photos where the car doesn't take up a lot of space can work, but in that case, you need to make the car the object of focus immediately. And with that, it needs to stand out with like a really bright color. Everything else needs to be unfocused, and it almost does this in this photo, but the color doesn't stick out enough in this one, I don't think.
No.
If it was like bright blue or something, then yeah, obviously it'd be, oh, there it is, just instantly your eyes snap to it.
Or something like Guards Red, like really bright and really eye-catching. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I will also say that this photo scene it's very, very difficult to use because the lighting is challenging, to say the least. I think for a score, I'm going to give this one an 8.5 overall.
I think overall I'm just not a fan of the overall aesthetic as much as of some of the other cars. It seems a little bit empty to me, especially the rear. But that is probably down to taste. But this is what this is about, after all. So I guess it would fit as a cover car. That's not a drawback here. Certainly supercharged. So and very nicely crafted. Like, if I was to judge craftsmanship, this is again a 9 probably. But 7.5 from me, because it doesn't quite click with me. Although I love the profile.
I went 8.5. I like this. It does look beefy. I think you can look at this and go like, yeah, this is probably at least not natural inspired. Looks mean. Just get my biggest letdown with this is like, yeah, the framing. Honestly.
Yeah. It is kind of down to that. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with an 8.5 as well. The car is great. It looks nice. And the green and the gold is a great color combo, but not in this scene.
Yeah.
If it had
The
been at like
contrast.
maybe if it had been at a brighter scene or maybe made the color pop more, then that would have done a lot.
It's very easy to change that if you are using any kind of Photoshop or so. Just select the ground and the scenery around it, and pull down the saturation a little bit. That will really help the car pop in this, because the golden accents in the car have the same base tonality as all the surroundings in this. So it just doesn't pop as much as it should.
Yeah. So 5th place is Riley with 8.18 points out of 10. 4th place is a tie between Sure As Can Be and Texas Slav and Kyorg at 8.23. Then we have CP, who is our runner-up at 8.25 points, and then our very clear winner at 9.16 points is Ivan. So congratulations to Ivan for being the cover car for the Al-Rilma update. And on that note, we will wrap this up. So thank you all once again for showing up and for voting and participating in the challenge. I hope you all enjoyed it. Congratulations to all of our finalists. Thank you once again to everybody who entered, all 124 of you. And once again, a great big congratulations to Ivan for winning this challenge.